Okay, so I think we're ready to start. We've got 34 people lined up. Very impressive. People joining from all over the world, Ashim. All sorts of time zones and things like that. So dedication, that's dedication.
It is.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk for a little bit. I'm Thomas Newman. I'm the founder of Viva Financial Tuition, and I'm gate crashing Ashim's party today. He's going to talk you through some great tips for the MCS if you're thinking about sitting that in August. So before we get started, before Ashim gets started with his presentation, what I'm going to do is talk about some of the course options that Viva has for the August 22 MCS, because this session is free. It'll run for, I think, over an hour, maybe an hour and a quarter, an hour and a half, maybe. There'll be time for questions at the end. And as I said, a free session. So we'll send out also the recording in the next day or so. And to get access to the rest of Viva's course, which is a combination of recordings that have already been done and mock exams that have been prepared with solutions, etc., and some more live sessions, you can purchase one of Viva's course options. Okay, so I'll talk to you about those now. So I'm going to share my screen, and let me just see now. That's what I need. Okay, so can you confirm, Ashim, that you see
absolutely
my screen, the MCS August 22 management case study? Okay, so I'll send this link out after this webinar, and I'll also put it in the chat box shortly. So for the August 22 MCS, this is the standard course content that we have at Viva. So I'm going to differentiate between our standard option and our elite option, and I'll talk more about the elite option in a minute. But the standard option is detailed in this page. I'll send you this page after. So there's a mix of live sessions, live webinars with Ashim. There are 3 of those, and you have 5 mock exams with model solutions. And you get access to a lot of on-demand recorded content that is on the website, which is detailed here. So there is a pre-course series of videos, questions, etc., that we recommend you go through, which is about 8 hours in total. And you will actually see today's webinar session is part of this pre-course work. Okay, so this is a 90-minute session, more or less, and a really useful one. There are a series of videos on reviewing the main theories from E2, F2, and P2. So very, very useful if you want to brush up on those theories. There's a series of videos on how to prepare for the case, how to use the pre-scene, etc. There is another series of videos then on what do you actually do on the day of the exam. So when you get in, you're sitting in front of your computer, how do you manage your time? What are the common mistakes that students make? What is the examiner actually looking for, etc.? And over the course then of the next 6 weeks, we have laid out the different elements of this course. So very, very practical and very focused on getting you a high mark in this exam. So there's a series of videos that Ashim did already on pre-scene analysis. So this is Ashim walking you through the entire pre-scene document, page by page, section by section, talking about likely exam scenarios, etc. There is another series of videos on the real life industry, which is very, very useful, so that you understand the context within which your business is operating. Then you've got 5 mock exams, so pretty much 1 a week from week 2 onwards. Okay, they come with model solutions, so they're very like the real exam. We have a history of predicting topics that will come up on the day of the real exam. In week 3 then, we start the series of applied sessions. So the first one is E2 applied. This is where Ashim walks you through the top 4 or so theories from E2 that we've identified as being particularly important for this pre-scene. So he talks about where they come up in the pre-scene, likely scenarios that could come up, and how you would answer those. So highly practical. So there's one for E2, one for F2, and in week 4, there is one for P2 as well. You'll see the mock exams coming thick and fast from week 2 onwards. So you've got 5 of those, all come with model solutions. In week 4, there's a mid-course check-in with Ashim. So this again is a live session where you would have an opportunity to ask questions and get answers from Ashim about any topics that relate to the pre-scene, the industry, all of the other content that you've gone through. Week 5, there's a 4th mock exam, comes with model solutions, and you have a key issues session done by Ashim, where he talks you through the 10 most important topics relating to this particular pre-scene. In the final week then, you have your last mock exam and a final check-in with Ashim. Again, just an opportunity for you to run your doubts by him. So there's more detail about the course on this page. I'll send out the link. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email at info@vivatuition.com. I'll put that in the chat box in a minute as well. So what are the options if you want, to participate in the standard course option? You've got 3 good options, and I'd say there's one in particular that is most worthwhile. It's our most popular course option. The first one here is the light pack. Okay, so this is pretty basic. You get access to the pre-scene lectures, and you get access to the 5 mock exams with model solutions. Okay, so the pre-scene lectures comes in 2 parts. It's this week 1 where Ashim walks you through the entire pre-scene. So very, very useful. And you get all of these 5 mock exams with model solutions. Okay, so that's the light pack option. The standard course then has all of the options you saw above. So all of this content. So not just the 5 mock exams, not just the pre-scene analysis, but all of these applied sessions, the course check-ins, the industry analysis, and this pre-course work. Okay, so that's the standard course option. So at the moment, the light pack is £119, and the standard course is £169. There is another option to participate in the standard course, which not just unlocks the MCS standard course, but also unlocks all of Viva's other standard courses. So that means E2, the E2 course that we have, the P2 course, the F2 course, but also the next level. So presumably you're looking to get through the MCS and progress to the strategic level. So you would unlock E3, F3, P3, the SCS for the next 365 days. Okay, so we're always updating this content. So, if you get through the MCS in August and you want to sit, E3, F3, P3 over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you would have all access to all of those. Maybe you're thinking about, the SCS in February, or maybe you're thinking about the SCS in May. Maybe you're thinking about the SCS next August. So you would have access to the SCS for all of that period. It would be 365-day access to everything that Viva has on the website, all of the standard courses. So this is by far our most popular option because it represents such good value for money. And this goes for £369 for 365 days of access. So just over £1 a day. It's an excellent value. We're going to discount this to £269 for the next 48 hours. Okay. So I'll send you out the special discount link if you want that. So that gives you access, as I said, to the MCS standard course, but also all of our other standard courses. So it's the best value option. There's one more option that you have for the August 22 MCS, and that's called the MCS Elite course. And this is the most complete MCS course that we have. So this is for students maybe who have struggled to pass before, or maybe for students who are looking for a very complete course that will get them a very high mark. Maybe you're very ambitious about scoring highly on this exam. We've had a number of prize winners in recent times, and this represents, as I said, the most complete course. So you can click on this Find Out More button, and it will take you to this page. So I'll also send out this page. This is the Management Case Study Elite course. Okay, so this is all about the personalized support that Viva and Ashim can offer you for this particular exam. So it goes beyond the elements that you've seen in the standard course. They're all included as part of the MCS Elite course, but you get extra on top. So it's all about personal coaching, additional live workshops, which are highly exam focused. You get professional marking for your mock exams, the 5 mock exams we talked about, and all of this then results in what we hope is elite performance. So let's get into the details. You get to the course syllabus, you'll see all of the things that were already included in the standard course, but you'll see additional things on top. So I'll point them out. The workshops, okay? So there's pretty much one a week from week 1 onwards. And there are 2-hour live workshop sessions that you will have with Ashim. They're quite intimate. So there's a lot of interaction between Ashim and the student group. And there's a lot of discussion of the case, highly focused on what do you need to do to get a high mark on the day of the exam, okay? So the first session there actually looks at the marking process. What is the examiner actually looking for? And very important to point out that with the elite course, you get not only the mock exam, but you get the solution, but you get also marking and feedback as well from a tutor, okay? So that's really, really important because you see where you're going wrong, you see what you're doing right, and you see the suggestions being made after each of your attempts and how to improve, okay? So one of those a week, mock 2 there in the second week, again with marking and feedback. You'll see that every week we've got a mock there for you with marking and feedback. And these workshops are occurring throughout. I think there are 5 workshops with Ashim, 2 hours each. So a lot of contact there. And the way you can pay for this is by paying a £99 deposit today. That books your place on the elite course, and you can spread your payments out over a number of months. So this normally sells for £599. What we're going to do again is we're going to drop the price for the next 48 hours to £499. And as I said, the way you can pay this is you pay a £99 deposit now. So you just click on the Join August 22 Elite option here, and you'll see that it is a £99 deposit, which you pay now. And then the remaining payments, the balance of £400 would be paid off over 4 months, starting next month. So you would pay next month a £100 installment, the following month, the second £100 installment. In 3 months' time, you would pay the third £100 installment. In 4 months' time, you would pay the last for £100 installment. So the total price would be $499, but you get to spread that out over 5 months, really. So it's a great option, as I said, if you're struggling with this exam. It's a great option if you're looking to do really, really well and looking for a very interactive session. We think it is the best MCS course of its kind, okay? So I'll send you those links after. If anything is not clear, please send us an email at info@vivatuition.com. What I would say is that Ashim can definitely help you with any of the technical content that forms part of the course, the theory, the pre-scene analysis, etc. But if you have any administrative questions, they are better directed to info@vivatuition.com. So about payment options and the price of things and when things are occurring, etc. You can drop us an email at info@vivatuition.com and we'll get right back to you. So,
Thomas, sorry
yes,
to interrupt. Just a question in the chat box which asks whether there's a discount on the standard course.
Let's see. Let's see. Will there be a discount on the standard course? Recently, we ran a discount and it's not running anymore. So no, there would not be a discount on the standard course option. No, there is a discount on all access membership and there's a discount on the MCS Elite course. So I'll send out those options in a minute. So yes, someone asked then if you're on the all access already, is there a discount for the Elite? Yes, the discount for the Elite would be, it's normally $599. We've dropped it to $499 for everyone, okay? Anyone who's attending this webinar gets access to that $499 discount, which is already, you know, we recognize that especially in this environment where people are worried about inflation and things like that, Viva has always offered a lower price point than other tuition providers and exceptional quality as well. So typically courses of this kind, the Elite course option, we see that they typically retail for 800, 900, 1,000 pounds. Okay, so really 599 or 499 in this case is excellent value. Okay, so I'll stop there, I think, Ashim. I'll keep an eye on the chat for
Sure.
the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
What I need to do is I need to make you the host again, because if I leave, I'd shut the entire webinar down if I'm the host. we don't want that.
No, we probably don't.
No. So I'll leave it to you, Ashim. Best of luck and enjoy, everyone.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to everybody. I know you are joining us from around the world, and it's different time zones. And if I'm keeping you awake, well, I'll try and make sure that it was worth it. So welcome. Just following on from what Thomas was saying, you know, professional examinations are challenging. They're designed to be challenging, and it's a rare student who can succeed at them without support. Now I've been in the training game. I've run companies myself in the past and so on for a long time. And honest opinion, you know, the program that Viva is offering is amazingly comprehensive and excellent value for money. As Thomas was saying, you know, courses with the same standard of quality are usually around double the price. So I would invite you to seriously consider investing in the all access and or the elite program, because you're not left to your own devices. You know, you've got your interaction, your engagement with me or whichever tutor you happen to be engaging with, depending on the subject, and that really makes an enormous difference. Okay, so I would strongly advise you to consider investing in one of those programs. I know that times are hard, and getting that amount of money together at once might seem a little daunting, but you know, there is the discount scheme, and there is the payment in installment scheme, which makes life easier. But at the end of the day, here's the question I would ask you to consider, which is, what is the cost of not investing in a program and therefore not achieving the success that you are capable of achieving? You know, there's time lost, there's investment in a program later on, and a delay in, you know, your qualifying as a professional, and of course there's a cost associated with that as well. So I'd invite you to consider all of those things and see what you can do to get engaged with this program and other Viva programs, which are excellent value for money, and even though I say it myself, excellent quality. Right? I'm not just talking about my program; they're all excellent quality. Okay, so welcome again. What's our plan for today? Well, our plan for today is to introduce you, to give you an overview, if you like, of the MCS, both in terms of the pre-seen case study, in terms of your level of expected knowledge, and also an understanding of how this should be applied in order to maximize your marks. Now, a little bit about myself. I'm a qualified ACCA, actually, not a CIMA, but I've been teaching CIMA for donkey's years. I've also run two international companies, the training businesses, Ernst & Young, EY, Middle East, North Africa. I was the executive director there, and a company called ATC International, where I ran a training business in Central and Eastern Europe and Central Asia. So I've got a foot in both camps, if you like, both the actual training camp and then the application camp. Now, this is particularly important because it reminds us that MCS and, you know, moving on to strategic case study level, the examiner's expectations are that you bring a practical, not a theoretical approach to your answers. All right. So this is absolutely not an academic examination. I want you to be really, really clear about that in your own minds going into the program. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that both the MCS and SCS will place you in the position you might face as a real world manager. Okay, there's a challenge. There is a challenge that you're facing. I know, new competitors, new legal requirements, new financial requirements, whatever they may be, and you need to incorporate a solution to those challenges into your answers. All right, because that's what we do in the real world. So point number one, primary importance, do not think of this as an academic exercise. It is not. Okay, and as we go through the program, you will see that I will be inviting you to think about, well, if you were facing this, what would you do? If you were the manager in this case study, what would you do about a challenge? Okay, so please be aware of that and be prepared to start thinking like a real world manager rather than an academic examination student. Okay, all right, so let's kick off with a question. Can you let me know, can you raise your hands if you've had a look at the pre-scene already, the case study? Can you raise your hands? 4, 6, excellent. Oh, the numbers are going up. 12. Right. I think some of you may be having a problem finding the raise hand icon. Okay, give it a second. All right, so about 15 of you, which is about 50%, right? Well, actually, no, it's less than that. It's less than that. So point number one, make sure, please, that you are experts on the pre-scene case study. Okay, make sure that you are experts on the pre-scene case study. What does that mean? Well, it means going through, reading through the case study on your own once, of course, and then using the materials on the program to analyze what each element actually means commercially, business-wise, what scenarios might come up, okay, that are relevant to that issue in the examination, I mean, and how you might craft an answer to those scenarios. Okay, so the case study is something that you should know back to front. Okay, so please take the time. It's a weekend day. Now's the time to invest some time into becoming familiar, well, more than familiar, expert on the case study. So please use that. On a related point, professional examinations are challenging. I said that at the beginning. All right, they are challenging, and in order to gain success in a professional examination, what you need to do is to be disciplined with the way you structure your preparation. In other words, set aside time on a consistent basis, and it doesn't matter if it's 1 hour or 2 hours, but set aside time on a consistent basis to help your preparation. All right, it is better to have 1 hour 6 days a week than 7 hours 1 day a week. Okay, so you need to be disciplined, you need to be structured, because it's not like an academic examination where you leave everything until the last minute, and then the night before the examination you cram everything and you pass. It's not like that. Trust me, I've tried. Okay, professional examinations do not work that way. Excuse me. Okay, so let's get started. If I can just open up my PowerPoint. There you go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to in slideshow. Okay, excellent. So can everybody see that? It should say mastering the August 22 MCS. You just say yes, yes. Oh, excellent. All right, brilliant. Super, super, super. So this presentation, this slide deck, is really going to cover pretty much everything you need to know going into the MCS program, including an overview of the case study. Okay, so here we go. If the technology is going to work, let's have a look. Okay. So what's our agenda? We're going to look at the key pre-scene information. So for those of you who haven't yet read the case study, this is going to be your first introduction to what's in there. We're going to talk about some key theories. Thomas mentioned earlier, E2, F2, P2. There are some key theories which, we are expected as a very basis, as a foundation to be familiar with, which will need to be applied in most case study examinations. We're then going to talk about an action plan for preparation for the examination, and at the end we'll have time for a Q&A. I noticed that many of you are already asking your questions, which is great. And while Thomas is here, I'm sure he'll field those questions. If you have a question, you can put it in chat box or you can raise it at the end, but I may not be able to answer everything immediately. Okay, so just bear that in mind, but I will get round to answering as many as I can by the end of our time together. Okay, so what is our, oh, we've got a raised hand already, good Lord. Okay, so we've got 7 raised hands. If you have a question, oops. Not sure why you've raised your hands there. 5 raised hands. All right, if you have a question, can you put it in the chat box, please? Okay, let's get started on this, and we'll have a look at the questions as soon as we can. So let's go. Oh my goodness. Why isn't this? Do we have a screen with the question on it? Let's see if we can get rid of it by the, no. Oh, there we go. All right. So key pre-scene information. Company overview. What is the organization in the case study? Well, it's a company called Piping, and what they do is they manufacture tea for sale to retailers. Okay, so they're a company that collect raw tea, all right, and they package it, they process and package it, and they sell it to retailers. And as with most case study examinations, you will find parallels with real world companies. And in this case, the parallels happen to be Twinings Tea, PG Tips, which are rather big brands, certainly in the UK and in many countries around the world. It's based in a country called Northlandia, and the currency is the Northlandia dollar. It's been in existence since 1852, so not surprising. I mean, the big tea companies have been in existence for a long time, so this is fairly typical. It's a listed company on the stock exchange, and it was listed in 1974, and is the leading tea manufacturer, and has been for many years now. Being a leading tea manufacturer, when you read words like that, that typically means there are other tea manufacturers, and that immediately should get one thinking about the competitive threat that Piping will probably be facing sooner or later. Piping's board of directors consists of 6 executives and 6 non-executive directors, and we like that. First of all, there is a non-executive board, and second of all, they are evenly balanced. So we don't know about the experience of the non-executives, but that said, if they are experienced, influential non-executive directors, then that is a pretty good balance on the board. What are the products they sell? Several varieties of tea. However, the company focuses exclusively on black tea, so they don't focus on green tea or white tea, both of which are far more niche than black tea, which is mass market. It sells tea in 2 forms: tea bags, which are of course the convenient way of making a cup of tea, and fast, and this is unsurprisingly the preferred option by Northlandians. It also sells loose leaf tea to be made in teapots, okay, and you have to wait a few minutes while that brews before you drink it. So it sells both. They're regarded as premium products, and therefore they do have a premium price attached to them. And that price is higher than the competing brands. Now, you see this information, you should immediately be thinking about things like how, we know they're the leading brand, we know that they have a premium price, so what is it that allows them to remain the leading brand? In other words, what is it that allows so many consumers wanting to pay an extra amount of money just to buy a piping product? Okay, so what is the reason for this competitive advantage? And also the thing about premium brands is that when there are economic hardships in a country, then people tend to tighten their belts, cut down on their spending, and this is a risk that premium brands face, all right, in times of economic hardship. Okay, recessions, for example. Piping uses good quality tea leaves and spends heavily on advertising to promote brand awareness. Okay, so we have part of our answer here. The reason they charge a premium is because they use higher quality tea leaves, okay? And they raise brand awareness on a consistent and regular basis. Okay, so let's see if we can, there we go, make it, okay. Operations. What do we know about the operations? They use a digital buying systems. Piping's tea leaf requirements are predicted and matched with scheduled tea auctions. So these guys buy tea at tea auctions, all right, and they match the timing of those auctions with the demand of their market and therefore of the organization for the loose leaf tea that they buy at those auctions. Okay, so that's how they do their buying planning. Every batch of tea purchased is sampled on delivery by Piping's tea blenders. So as soon as the tea comes into Piping's premises, all right, we have a blender who's testing the quality and the taste of that tea to make sure that it matches the Piping tea taste. All right, when people buy a box of tea bags 1 week, they expect it to taste the same as it did with the previous box that they'd bought a week earlier. Okay, so that consistency is what these tea blenders achieve. The blenders use their judgment to decide the mix of batches to be used in blending teas for production. Now, they use their judgment. Now, this actually indicates that blenders are really very highly skilled at this art. It is an art, all right, and therefore they have enormous amounts of bargaining power or leverage, if you like, with Piping. because piping cannot afford to lose them. That would impact on the quality of the product that they sell. And it is not easy to train a blender up. So if one blender leaves, you can't just train someone up to take their place in a few weeks or even months. It takes many years, right, to do that. So blenders' judgment, the importance of blenders in the process should be noted, okay, and we'll talk more about that later. So they decide on the mix of batches that come in from the auctions, right? How do we blend these to produce the standard piping taste? The tea is mixed in drums and sampled to confirm that the mixture is satisfactory. The tea is then moved to a highly mechanized production line for packaging. Okay, well, this is fairly standardized. It is what we would expect to happen, right? A mechanized production line. And this may have something, we don't know yet, but it may have something to do with the fact that, we have need for very few people, right, to produce piping's product. And as we become perhaps more efficient, more mechanized, is there a risk that we're going to have to face redundancies, or our employees are going to have to face redundancies, and so on? Okay, so as we go through these slides, these are some of the thoughts that I want to trigger in your minds that you should be having automatically, because this is what you need to be doing when you read the case study in its entirety. Right, so what else does the case study tell us? Let's start with packaging. It takes an innovative approach to packaging. It's redesigned its tea bag many times, leading to enhanced flavors. Now, some of you may have experienced a tea bag which is, shaped like a pyramid, and the reason it was the shape was changed instead of the standard rectangle. The reason that the shape was changed was because it allowed greater, more taste to come out from the tea bag into the water itself. Okay, piping uses a patented process that seals the foil that contains the tea bags or loose tea so that it remains fresh. So there's a patent, okay, and now we think about patent accounting, okay, and how that might be addressed in the examination. Then we think about the risk of when the patent runs out, okay, so others can copy it and so on. Okay, so we don't know how long that is yet, but something that should be triggered in our minds. Piping's packaging is designed to be visually appealing whilst keeping the contents inside fresh, which is why, when we buy a box of tea, yes, it looks nice. The box looks nice, and it is an effective packaging structure. Packaging is recyclable and uses as little material as possible. So this is tells you gives you an introduction into the environmental credentials of piping. Marketing and distribution. Piping's products are sold through most major retailers in Northlandia. Marketing and distribution department serves two functions: advertising, as you would expect, account management, which means that you have people in the marketing function who have responsibilities for specific clients, specific accounts, and they manage those relationships. Piping invests heavily in advertising, as one would expect. Each major retail customer is typically assigned an account manager, and a small team of sales managers are tasked with expanding and overseeing export sales. All right, now just a point on that. We have a team of sales managers, but they're small, and their job is to find overseas markets, right, and then monitor those markets. Now, we don't know yet, but this word here, small, might be important. Let me explain. So let's suppose that later on in the case study, we find that there are other large markets overseas, right, which we haven't actually entered. then in order to enter those markets, we will need people, we will need sales managers to be going out there, talking to people and breaking into those markets. And so it may be that the number of sales managers that we currently have is insufficient, and we may need to employ some more. Okay, social responsibility. We touched on the environmental credentials of piping. Piping goes further than that. It supports initiatives and charities that are intended to encourage tea plantation owners to treat their workers fairly. Now, most large organizations have statements like that in their literature, in their brochures, and so on. And it is important that we make sure that piping does monitor their suppliers, all right, to ensure that their workers are being fairly treated. And the reason it's important, of course, is that if they're not, then it will impact on piping's reputation and therefore its share price. Remember, it's a listed company, and the demand for its products as a result. Piping's manufacturing processes are designed to use resources efficiently, which is what you would expect. Production lines are maintained to reduce the amount of power required for their operation. Okay, so again, they are making active efforts to live up to their social responsibility obligations. Products are designed to eliminate waste, so they use recyclable packaging. Tea bags and tea can be recycled, and so on. Okay. So social responsibility, important today to all organizations, and as you see, important in our examination. Okay. Piping's business model. So what is it that they do? How do they add value? How do they satisfy their customers? Well, they start by defining their value, and essentially they define value in terms of giving the consumers what they need and what they want. Okay, so what does that mean for us? It means things like making sure that we're constantly in touch with our consumers and our customers, the retailers, consistently provide them with what they want in terms of price and quality and taste and availability and so on. Okay, so that's how they define their value. They then go on to create that value by using good quality materials and constantly innovating to maintain that quality of output. They deliver the value by marketing in a relevant manner and ensuring products are readily available. Okay, so some of you may have come across, if you like, the 4 Ps or sometimes the 5 Ps marketing structure. All right, and so this is talking about delivering the product in the right place, right? So the place P of the 4 Ps, and marketing is the promotional P of the 4 Ps. Okay, so it's those 2 Ps, that's what they focus on to deliver value to their consumers and customers. And how do they capture, the value that's left behind? Well, they charge a premium price, as we've already discussed, and they pay a fair price to the tea growers. So they don't exploit tea growers, but they pay a fair market price. And that's easier to do because they buy their raw materials, the loose leaf, tea leaf, at auctions, which is a transparent pricing process. Okay, so that's a little bit about their business model. Their total revenue is increased. That's not a bad jump, but let's see where most of the jump comes from. And we see that most of that jump comes from exports. All right, so let's connect that to the small team of sales managers who manage the exports. It may not be enough. Okay, we see that export demand has gone up enormously. This might be people from Northlandia who are living overseas, or it might simply be overseas residents who like the taste of Northlandia tea. Operating profits also increased by 14.7% in the same time. So although revenue's only gone up by 2.4%, operating profits have gone up by almost 15%, which suggests something about efficiencies, improved efficiencies in the way that piping operates, assisted by reduction of 9.2% in admin costs. All right, but there will be other efficiencies which were exploited to achieve this increased profit. Intangible assets increased by 22.3%. We're not sure what those are, but probably around patents. And our cash management seems to also have improved, right? So cash has increased by 13%, which is great. As we all know, cash is king, all right? You can be as profitable as you like, but if you don't have the money to pay your bills, you're going out of business, okay? So that seems to be improving. A little bit on competition. Now we have a competitor called Hotlo. Okay, it competes in the same market space, so it seems to be a premium product as well, with charging a premium price. Excuse me. So much talking dries the throat. By revenue, piping has 23% of the market share, whereas Hotlo's share is 20%. So there's not much difference, right? So they're very, very close in terms of market share. This is piping's biggest competitor. Piping needs to constantly keep an eye on what Hotlo is doing. Piping by revenues and profits is a larger company than Hotlo. Hotlo enjoyed good financial results also in that year, 2021. Other competitors include Value Tea, Jenner Tea, and Owen Tea. All right, so it's not just an oligopoly, it is a fairly competitive marketplace. Other information that is important: botanists can be used to develop new plant varieties. All right, now why is that important? Well, you'll know more when you've read the case study, if you haven't already, that we can, we know that piping wants to maximize value, to deliver value to customers by providing them, consumers, by providing them with what they want in terms of quality and so on. So what this is suggesting is that we can adjust the taste and quality of our tea using botanical techniques. So, for example, a botanist can combine varieties of wheat to create a strain that is more resistant to pests and drought. Okay, that's what botanists do. If they can do it for wheat, they can do it for tea. Tea contains caffeine. It is possible to decaffeinate tea through a chemical process. However, the process removes a lot of the tea's antioxidants, and antioxidants are good things, right, that are healthy things. So you take the caffeine away, you also take away the health benefits. The process will not remove 100% of the caffeine anyway. There'll always be some left. Some companies in the industry add plastic to the paper used in their tea bags in order to make the bags stronger. Now, of course, this is a bit of a challenge for piping to do. Why? Well, because plastic is not biodegradable and therefore may undermine piping's environmental credentials. Okay, they don't want to be using plastic if they can avoid it. Okay, some key ratios, financial ratios. All right, gross profit has gone down by 1%, not an enormous amount, but it's moving in the wrong direction. Operating profit margin gone up. Okay, so that tells us about our operational performance, and that seems to be improving again slightly. Net profit margin has gone up from 7 to 8%, so that also seems to be improving. Okay, cash conversion, in other words, how long does it take between making a sale and getting the cash, is going down. The shorter the cycle is, of course, the better it is for us. All right, because we get the cash in our hands sooner. Gearing is going down. Do we like that? Yes, we like that very much, because of course, when we have debt, we have risk. The risk is that we don't have the cash to repay our lender, all right, and that could cause major problems for piping. On the other hand, debt is a good thing because you get a tax deduction for interest that you pay on that debt. So we need to find that balance, all right, or between too much debt and not enough debt, okay, where we can maximize or optimize the advantage of having debt. But generally speaking, our gearing has gone down, which means our risk level has gone down, and that is an improvement. Okay, potential scenarios. So this is what might come up in the examination, all right? And as Thomas said, you know, Viva is pretty good at predicting what might come up, okay, consistently. So I would pay attention to this. New products. There could potentially be a new product or offering developed, such as a new ready-to-drink iced tea product. So when you read the case study, you'll find that iced tea is growing in popularity, especially amongst younger consumers. All right. New products could be produced perhaps by these botanists who produce a new blend of tea, a new variety of tea with a different taste, which people like, and so on. Or it may be that a new product is introduced by one of our competitors. Okay. Expansion, piping could potentially expand into new regions outside of Northlandia by acquiring an existing company or building a new one from scratch. Now, we saw that the number of sales outside Northlandia has gone up hugely. All right, it's a huge proportion of total sales. And so clearly we should be thinking about, you know, how do we exploit that opportunity? And there are a number of ways in which we can enter the market. All right, and we'll talk about those later. But we might choose to build our own company in the new country, or we might choose to buy one. Improvements, there could be an investment into new technology, or there could be a change to existing processes or products, possibly resulting in additional intangibles. So we might need to invest in technology. We already have mechanized production plant, but there may be ways of improving that even further, right? Perhaps using artificial intelligence and so on, or robotics. Or they could, you know, we could produce a new process, a new product, which would need to be protected by patent, and that would be an intangible asset. New sales channels, potentially piping could create a new sales channel by selling directly to customers through a website or phone app. I mean, we can buy pretty much anything online nowadays. Why not tea? All right. So we may be looking at that or thinking about that. All right. As we read through our case study. This part of the webinar will involve discussing key areas of the management syllabus that could be tested. It is important that you cover all areas of E2, F2, and P2. Now, a couple of minutes on this, ladies and gentlemen. Do not believe that you can pass MCS without a thorough understanding of those three subjects, okay? Because MCS demands that you integrate your understanding of all three, all right, when you create your answer. And so I know that, you know, it is normal for us to find some topics easier than others, all right, but at the end of the day, we need to be comfortable with all three of those subjects. And that's why it is essential that, you know, you invest in one of Viva's courses and attend the E2, P2, and F2 review courses, programs that we will be doing together, okay? But it is important that you cover all three of them. It's a bad strategy to exclude topics that appear to be difficult to test. Believe me, if the examiner wishes to, he'll test it. It might also be tempting to exclude topics from your study plan that you struggle with. What he said, don't do that. So cover all areas, please. Key theories of P2. Some of the topics that could be tested. Performance management, project appraisal, very, very standard topics. Cost management, responsibility centers, and we will be we will be covering each of these, of course, in the courses, in the programs that we do together. Okay, but this is just a taster. Transfer pricing from P2, risk management, quality management, very important, especially with piping, as we've already discussed. Pricing strategy is also important with piping. As we've already discussed, it's a premium priced product. Okay, but how does that impact its competitive position? What about with F2? Sources of finance and weighted average cost of capital. Okay, now please remember that in our time together, we will not be able to cover each of the details of each of these key theories that we're covering now. All right, so make sure that you have covered them yourselves, and then if you have questions, bring those questions to our live sessions. Okay, and I will do my best to answer them. Intangible assets, we've already talked about that and how that might be important for piping, ratio analyses, analysis, related party transactions. Okay, so if we open up a subsidiary overseas, how do we deal with that? How do we record it? Group accounting, integrated reporting. Of course, integrated reporting, very, very, I mean, pretty much everyone's doing it now, so we need to understand what it is and what its benefits are. Provisions, so for example, if there's a legal action brought against us, but which has not yet been settled, we need to provide for any damages that we may need to pay. And foreign currency transactions, so we talked about overseas sales, exporting sales, and so on, and we'd need to deal with foreign currency and how to record that and protect a hedge against foreign currency fluctuations. Key theories from E2, business ecosystems. Okay, so what is the context in which each business operates, suppliers, consumers, and so on? How do we create our value? We've talked about value already. Communication, critical, of course, in any business. Leadership styles, digital disruption. You know, everything is being disrupted these days through the use of innovative use of digitalization. Why not T? Okay, so we need to, or we may need to think about how we would deal with a new digital innovation which disrupts the tea industry. Negotiation, conflict management, yep, absolutely. May have a problem inside the organization that needs to be dealt with, which needs those skills. How to build teams. So we talked earlier about sales teams, a small export sales team, right? So we'll need to grow that, and we may be faced with a question which says, well, how do we build this team to be effective as soon as possible? And then project management, okay, and that of course applies in lots of different ways generally. So what do you need to do to pass? You need to understand the mechanics of the examination. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure that you go on the CIMA website, all right, understand how the MCS exam works. You need an excellent knowledge of the management level syllabus. So we've talked about those three subjects. Exam technique, we'll be doing a lot of talking about exam technique in our time together. Okay, how to answer questions. You know, this is the biggest reason for the failure of students who do have the technical knowledge, but they fail the exam because their technique lets them down. All right, so it's, you know, we cannot afford to ignore that. Okay. Knowledge of the pre-scene. So again, we'll be covering that a lot in our time together, but you already need to have read it, you know, 3 or 4 times before we start going through it here. Time management, again, you know, I would include this in our exam technique in terms of managing our time in the examination, but also we need to manage our time here in real life to make sure that we consistently allocate time to preparing for the examination. I've already spoken about that, so I'm not going to be repeating myself. And commitment to passing the exam. Okay, I remind you that this is a professional qualification, it's a professional examination, and you need regular commitment to investing time and effort into preparing for it. It is not an academic examination which you can revise in the last few days. So what is your action plan? General guidance: book the exam. Once this is done, become familiar with the details of the exam. Okay, how it's set, how you will sit it, and so on. Become very familiar with the pre-seen document. Revise key theories from the 3 subjects at management level, and attempt mock papers and practice questions. Yes. Again, don't wait to start attacking questions. Don't wait until, just before the examination. Don't say to yourself, well, I need to revise all of the 3 subjects and before I attempt any questions. Don't do that. Start as soon as you start the course would be my advice, right? Have a look at the past exam papers, right? And just try and, put together an answer. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? But I want you to get your minds thinking about how you're going to structure an answer, what kinds of questions are being asked or might be asked, and how you would address them. Okay, so attempting mock exams and practicing questions, please start as soon as possible. Identify your weaknesses based on these questions and brush up on those areas. And as I said, it's going to be difficult to do well in the practice questions and exams at the beginning, but that is to be expected. And really the main reason for attempting those is not to get a high mark. The main reason is to say, to identify what it is that you need to improve, okay? And then constantly revise key theory along with the pre-seen and test your knowledge regularly. This is not something you can leave till to the weekend. This needs to be done regularly, please. Practice makes perfect, absolutely right. That adage is always true, and especially so with MCS. Key to passing any case study exams to practice. Do not be afraid to make mistakes. Mocks will highlight key weaknesses. We've talked about that. Important part of making mistakes is to learn from them. Absolutely, right? That's why we do it. That's why we are here to support you. If you made a mistake, you don't understand why it's a mistake, then we will support you to do that. Okay, the case study learning cycle. So this is how we suggest you prepare, okay? Each week you work through the 3 syllabuses at management level. You'll need to read the pre-seen on a regular basis. You'll apply your theory, to past exam questions, okay? Very important, as we've already said. Get third-party feedback, and of course you'll get that with a Viva program. You'll get professional marking of your examinations, all right, with advice on what you need to improve. And then once you've had that advice, implement the feedback and then repeat the process, all right? Implement the feedback. So that means revise a particular topic area or fine-tune your exam technique, okay? So what do we want to say in closing? MCS is tough, but believe me, it's possible, okay? So don't think, oh my goodness, this is too difficult, there's no way I'll pass. Not true. Please remind yourselves that all students feel this way at some stage in their preparation, okay? But then also remind yourselves that many students pass, okay? So it is possible, so don't be scared of it. If you feel ready, consider drafting a study plan and booking the exam. And I would suggest that you start focusing your mind on doing that right now, okay? Draft a study plan. So that means set aside time in the week where you will study. A bit of advice on this: don't be unrealistic. So if you're in a full-time job, okay, don't say that you're going to spend 7 hours a day studying, because clearly that's unrealistic. Be realistic, all right? And if it's only an hour a day, that's okay, all right? But make sure it's consistent. In other words, it's 1 hour every day, and make sure that you do not allow yourselves to miss an hour. Don't say to yourself, oh, well, I don't feel like studying today. I will do 2 hours tomorrow. Please don't do that. All right. 1 hour a day means 1 hour every day. Okay. Start by revising the management syllabus and reviewing the pre-seen document. Ensure that practicing questions or doing mock exams is a component of your study plan. Yes. So in your study plan, just put in, time on this day, usually the weekend, because that's when we have time. I will practice the mock exam. And when you do that, when you do that, make sure, please, that you do it to exam standards, which means no disturbances, no interruptions, right, for your 3 hours, okay? And you must stop as soon as your time runs out. You must, because that's really powerful time discipline technique. Take time to review your performance in mock exams, analyze where you can improve, and then implement that feedback. And finally, good luck. All right. But honestly, if you've done all of this, you don't need luck. Okay. You will be well prepared to pass. Okay. You will be well prepared. And so I remind you, okay, to invest in yourselves, all right, both in terms of your time discipline, both in terms of your exam technique practice, and in terms of getting as much third-party feedback on your performance as possible, which is what Viva Financial Tuition can provide. Okay, so that's all I needed to say. Good Lord, I've got 11 questions in there. Oh no, okay, so I think, right, let's see how many questions we can address here. So as Thomas says, the recording will be sent to you on Monday. The PowerPoint, however, will not be included. Okay, so I think that's a later question. Can we get the slide notes? The answer is no, but you will get a recording of this conversation. Kindly provide soft copy of the presentation. Well, I think we've already answered that question. Was there a slide on theories? Well, the aim of this time together was not to actually go through the technical stuff, but to get you in the right frame of mind in terms of how you're going to prepare for your MCS. Okay, we will be doing theories, of course, when we look at E2, F2, and P2. Okay, we will be talking about those in that part of the program. Okay, let's see what other questions we have. In the pre-scene, we have a few pie charts. What kind of questions do we expect from these? Well, pie charts are simply a way of sharing information, sharing data, right? And so the fact that there are pie charts is not really a problem, a challenge in any way. It's the same as sharing data in a table, okay? In terms of what types of questions we can expect from the data in those pie charts, well, that's exactly what we'll be looking at in our course. All right, so the next question is, well, I'm already enrolled in the standard course. Only have to give MCS and SCS. Will the standard course be sufficient for preparation of E2, F2, and yeah, well, yes, in terms of coverage of those subjects, but it's simply not enough. You know, covering and knowing the subjects is not enough to pass MCS. Why? Because it's all about application in the real world context, and that's what you get with the elite course and the all access course. How long does the tuition of the standard course last? Well, you need to look at the timetables. I'm sure that you have a timetable, a schedule all right, for each of those courses. Thomas, as he said, he'll be sending you details of all the programs, and it'll be on there. What is the right time to start studying for August next year? Well, the right time to study, I would suggest, is as soon as you can, as soon as the case study is released. Is 5 weeks enough to prepare for MCS? That depends on you, quite honestly. If you can invest sufficient time in your preparation, then yes, it is. If you don't, if your preparation is ad hoc from time to time when you feel like it, then even a year may not be enough to prepare for MCS. Okay, so it really depends on you whether 5 weeks is enough. But 5 weeks is short. Okay, so it would have to be very intensive preparation, but it is possible. Sat the MCS exam 3 years ago. Syllabus was changed. Do I need to appear with the new syllabus or the old? Well, the new syllabus is the answer to that question. New syllabus. What time is required to pass any of the case studies? Well, it's a 3-hour examination. So again, this is something that you need to familiarize yourselves with if you haven't already done so. All right, when you look at what's involved in the MCS, it's on the CIMA website. All right, so these are things that you need to be completely aware of. Do you saw summaries of the syllabus just for the examination? The answer is no, to the best of my knowledge, Roberto, but you can check that with Thomas. Will provide the same free section for strategic level. I wish to sit for the case in November 2022. Again, Wilson, I would suggest that you ask Thomas that question, what their plans are for strategic level. Okay, so you need to speak to Thomas about that. Are there any other questions? If so, you can unmute yourselves, unmute yourself and ask it, or you can put it into the chat box. Any other questions? All right. Seems as though we have no new questions. Great. So I hope you found that useful. All right, and helpful in structuring. Can we use personal work experience in our answers? The answer is absolutely yes. In fact, if you have personal work experience, I would strongly recommend that you use your learning from that experience, to address the question, the examination. Okay, so if you're faced with, let's say, a competitive problem in the examination, and you have experience of dealing with competition in the real world, then yes, you would use that knowledge to answer that question. Okay. All right. Only had to take strategic level exam with exemptions CPA Australia. Where should I start studying and preparing? So if you only have to take strategic level exam, Ria, then I would suggest that you look at the strategic level preparation programs offered by Viva. Okay, have a look at their programs, and if you have any questions on the strategic level programs, then again, please write to Viva at info@Viva Tuition. Is it better to study on textbooks for the examination or on other books? Okay, so Roberto, this is not an academic examination. Okay, so the textbooks are useful, essential to understand the theories, the context of excuse me, E2, F2, and P2. But in terms of the MCS, there is no textbook. Okay, the MCS brings together your knowledge of those 3 subjects and integrates them into a a real world case study, and that's how you use the knowledge from all three to answer the problems. Okay, so textbook is useful to make sure you're happy with the syllabuses of those three subjects, but to prepare for the MCS, it's practice of questions. Okay, relationship between FLP and Viva Tuition, I'm not sure how that's relevant to this. Is the standard Viva course enough for a gateway MCS student? The answer is yes, it is. It is enough. Okay, but it is limited, as we know. All right, Gloria, it is limited because you don't get any feedback, and feedback is crucial. All right. Any other questions? You can unmute yourselves if you want to. All right. Well, in that case, thank you for spending the time. As I say, I hope you found it helpful. And I look forward to seeing you all, hopefully, on the course. Okay? And we'll do our best to get you through. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful Saturday, wherever you are in the world. Goodbye now.